In with the update of those live pictures that are currently coming in from Bali in Indonesia, the annual two-day G20 summit that has begun, where key leaders of the world have been gathering to ponder upon contemporary global changes. A gathering where world's major economies, the event that will be attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, China's President Xing Ping, United States President Joe Biden, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, among other heads of the state, and other European Union leaders as well, which forms the group. Now, before departing for the summit, the Prime Minister had said that during the Bali summit, I will have extensive discussions with other G20 leaders on key issues on global concerns, such as reviving global growth, food, energy security, environment, health and digital transformation. The Prime Minister had also arrived at the hotel in Bali to attend the 17th G20 summit, where he was greeted by the President of Indonesia, which currently he is now speaking at the summit, as we are looking at top world leaders who have already gathered in Bali, and also to look upon India's presidency next, when the presidency will be handed over of the summit to India next month. So the pictures that are coming in of Prime Minister Narendra Modi there, and of course a light moment that was also shared between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of the United States Joe Biden. The kind of warm relationship that both the leaders have always shared, but we are also looking at how the Prime Minister's main focus point will be on holding extensive discussions on pressing global challenges, as the Prime Minister will be interacting with various world leaders during the summit. Srinjoy is with us this morning. Good morning, Srinjoy. Packed day for the Prime Minister. We're witnessing also the speech that is currently being given by the President of Indonesia right now.
Yes, it's a very big moment for the world. It's a very big moment for India. The primary reason is that right now, you will have the three most important issues the world has to deal with today under discussion. The first, of course, will deal with energy security, which means the problems because of the war in the Ukraine. There is such a shortage of petroleum, prices are shooting up, and the problem is that the people of the third world countries, including India, are facing that huge problem. The second thing is energy security, which basically is petroleum and food security. 12% of all the calories that are made in the that are produced by the world are coming from Ukraine and Russia, the two countries that are fighting. As a result, food prices have shot up, and as a result, people all over the world, particularly in the third world countries like India, are suffering. Now, these two problems have to be dealt with. The third problem, and it's just as important, really relates to health. Let's not forget that COVID was a cloud over the world just a year ago. What happens? What happens now is, what if there is another COVID? What if there is another COVID-like situation? These are things that will have to be looked at. And again, this will be under discussion today. So these are the two major meetings that will happen. Then tomorrow tomorrow is the day when you have all these bilaterals, and we are already clear that one major bilateral could well be between Prime Minister Modi and, of course, President Biden. That is something that we are all looking forward to. Is it going to happen tomorrow? Well, the American side has said that President Biden is looking forward to meeting Prime Minister Modi. There has been nothing from the Indian side so far, so perhaps that could happen. The other meeting, of course, has kind of happened, is the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Sunak. So again, a bilateral between them is also entirely possible. So these are things that are likely to happen tomorrow. But today, food security is a big issue. Basically, the shortage of food because of the war in the Ukraine, also the shortage of petroleum because of the war in the Ukraine, and naturally the rise in prices of both. And also the problems that COVID has created and other health problems that will come up in the world. All these things are on the agenda today.
I think you mentioned the war that has already found a mention in the President of Indonesia's speech that he is making right now. I'm just going to quickly quote from that because he's been saying that being responsible means creating zero-sum situations. Being responsible here also means that we must end the war. If the war does not end, it will become difficult for the world to move forward. Important point there, Srinjoy, being made by the President of Indonesia, the host country.
Oh, yes, of course. And that you would expect Mr. Widodo to say, because he is the host and he has to raise the flag, the big issues. And he has. He has flagged the big issues, one of which, of course, is the war, because of which there is a problem with energy security, the problem with food security. Both those problems are there. And everybody knows 12% of the calories of the world are produced by Ukraine and Russia. So if the two countries are fighting, naturally there will be a problem. And that problem is there right in front of us. This is why the G20 is so important, to find a way to solve that problem. Also about COVID, because the problem is as difficult as it is, all the countries will have to sit together and sort that problem out. Because if you don't sort that problem, then there could well be another COVID.
Well, Mr. Arasan Singh is with us also here on the broadcast, sir. Good morning to you. We're getting those live pictures of Prime Minister's interaction with the world leaders there in Indonesia, sir. But if we talk about the China factor, we are told that a first meeting ever since Joe Biden came to office also happened with the Chinese president. And we still don't know that if Indian Prime Minister will be meeting the Chinese president. And this might be happening after the Galwan clash of 2020, sir.
Yes, that would be very interesting to watch. We are all, waiting whether this happens. But given my personal view, I would be surprised. I would rather be surprised if that happens. But this meet is very important, not only because, India is heading the G20 at the moment, also because a lot of dislocation has taken place because of the Ukraine-Russian crisis, and which way the world will go, nobody knows after this. The second most important point is that the supply chain that has got disrupted. Now, will this meet decide or will result into a different kind of a supply chain? That is to be seen. But all said and done, let me tell you that China is a very important factor as far as supply chain is concerned. Nobody is concentrating. We are all talking about alternate sources of energy and electrical vehicles. But people should know that most of these minerals that are used for electrical vehicles, they are all under the control of China, like graphite, lithium. Graphite almost 80%, and there are like nickel in Congo. The ownership of most of these mines is with China. So that supply chain is something which you can't wish away because they have been working on it over time. Now, from that point of view, it's very, very important, but also. The most heartening fact is that, the stature of India,
right, sir.
This, G20 and the heft that, geopolitical heft that we are carrying with ourselves, being wooed by, all the powers of the world. So that should fill every Indian with a sense of pride.
Absolutely, sir. And India's position here itself is important because next month onwards, the presidency will shift to India, when we'll be looking at all the global leaders and the world leaders who will be now present in India for the next summit whenever it happens. Mr. Singh, thank you very much. Enjoyed to you as well. Let's quickly move on now and talk